Serious boomers who read comments like they took all of our social security and don't understand that we can't just afford college or buy a house, etc. What goes through your mind? One thing to remember is that there have always been economic class divides. I grew up in public housing, the projects, got pregnant at 16, yada yada. I'm 60, I pulled myself up and out, and have a respectable career, raised two children who are upstanding members of society and really great people who I respect and admire. I love Reddit, because younger people don't realize we're here most of the time. I read what you write, I hear what you say, I try to understand how you feel. Thank you for letting me eavesdrop, BTW. It keeps me from despairing, frankly. So much energy and angst and joy and friendship and naturally. I like you. I know that housing and education costs are insane and it worries me for my grandchildren. I have life insurance policies that go to each of them when I die. It won't magically fix everything, but maybe they can pay off a student loan or buy a car, anything. The thing is, a lot of us are fucked together right now. Dividing people by age, race, gender is just stupid. I'm really hoping a fresh wave will take hold and rise up and work to right things, starting with the outrageous economic disparities that are now considered normal. I was hoping it was Bernie Sanders this year. He's getting pretty old, though. Is there no one else? Find someone or be the someone. The future is in your hands. Every vote you cast is significant for you or your descendants. Choose wisely, but don't ever sit out making the choice. Make noise, stand up, mean what you say, take back your world. You can absolutely do it. I've been watching. Don't hang back, step out. You are no longer in our shadow. Remember that this is all yours now. You are in charge of everything. You're our only hope, and I'm okay with that. I have great faith in you. You have no idea how excited I'm to see what you do with the world. I won't get to see it all, but I'll get to see some of it. Make it spectacular as only you can. The comments so far are funny, obviously made by people who don't know many boomers. I was born in 1963, which is considered the last year of the baby boom. So I'm a boomer. As for what do I think? I think the housing situation for millennials sucks and I'm working towards building a company to do something about it. I was born in 1958. I saw my fellow white boomers listen to and believe Ronald Reagan's transparent lies about welfare queens and strapping young bucks buying steaks using food stamps. I saw them vote for Reagan and turn into selfish whining babies that thought that they, the luckiest generation on the planet, somehow had it bad. I have watched them belittle unions. I have watched them destroy the economy. I have hope for the new generation and understand how much worse you have it. Social security is still strong though. Don't let boomers or self-serving politicians convince you otherwise. I'm a boomer. What I can't understand is how they lump millions and millions of people into one catch-all hatred-fueled shitstorm and blame it all on them. I couldn't afford college either, so I didn't go for long. I only bought a house a year before the housing meltdown and struggled hard just to keep it during that, while not dipping into the savings we scrimped and saved since the birth of our son, so he at least could go to college. Sure, it was a state school, and we also got the help of grants and in-laws that also saved since the birth of their only grandchild to supplement it, but while we lived barely above the poverty line, we got him through school. Then we have people coming along pointing at us saying we are the problem. Well, fuck you. Like they think we are lighting cigars with $100 bills and laughing at you all. You can't lump everyone into you baby boomers ruined it all. No, it was some of that generation that ruined it, not all. I mean, haven't we learned not to lump everyone into a group for hatred? Mid-level boomer here. I know things have changed and that opportunities are way different now, especially education, and it really disgusts me that we can't just provide the same levels of education at similar costs. Big believer in excellent public education, easily/freely available. I don't really know the SS argument, other than I feel that whenever I try to collect my benefits, it will be a pittance. Congress has stolen so much from SS, and it's an outrage. I don't feel any more represented in government than the occupied generation. But I also think there are a lot of smart humane people in the 20-something generation and younger, and it's folly to stand in the way of change when it is a generational wave. And change is rarely good for everybody. It'll be a mixed bag, like always. And I really hate the whole 1% thing. The movement of all wealth away from the vast majority into the few. It's the most warping, corrupting thing happening in the world today. War on drugs? PFFFT. Enough already. War on unnecessary wealth? Needs to happen. That's exactly what we did. We fucked over the next generation royally by building debt to improve the quality of our own lives and just paid it down the road. Let the next generation pay it off. Let the next generation clean the environment. Let the next generation fix an economy that gutted the middle class. This is the first generation that's inheriting a world worse off than the last for more than 100 years, and we are to thank for it. Born in the early 60s. I'm sad and things for the current generation are so out of whack. However, blaming it on the boomers is misdirected. Income inequality isn't the fault of boomers. It is the fault of policies over the last 40 years that have given the higher income folks more power and control over the economy. This control has gutted the chances of younger folks of climbing the ladder to affording college, a home, etc. Income inequality has not been this bad in the US since forever and needs to be changed. Blaming it on the boomers and saying they are taking all their social security is silly underlines their failure to grasp how social security works and ignores how Congress has screwed with social security's number/funding. Instead of wasting time and blaming the boomers, I would suggest younger folks start the heavy lifting and change the laws that have allowed income equality to flourish in the first place. That means getting involved in politics at ground level and making a difference. Easier to curse the darkness than to light a candle. I'm a boomer who fathered a child late, at 43, so now I'm watching my daughter go through high school and looking forward at what she faces. It's not good. We have ideologically driven narcissist sociopaths arguing service economy problems with industrial age mentalities as automation and solar energy are taking over the world. And when the evidence of their failures surfaces, they obfuscate and finger point. And when that stops working, they just deny the validity of the concept of evidence. I feel this year's kind of wacky race means the tide is turning, but keeping it going takes the kind of hope and sustained attention that we really have a hard time mustering in this country. So I'm just going to try to get my daughter as good a start as I can, then hope to leave her something worthwhile when I go. Born in 1950, I lived through the ends of rationing, too young to remember it. Went through my childhood with every year getting better. Went through teens/20s with work available everywhere. Young enough to just miss conscription. Retired just before pensions collapsed. Cradle to grave healthcare. Got my education before student loans. What did I take from you? Grouping people by age is silly. We are not all the same. I didn't get to choose which year I was born. All I could do was play the hand I was dealt to the best of my ability. Yes, I agree that young people today face many very serious challenges, but blaming people my age is silly. If today's young people could be magically transported back to the time of my youth, they would make many of the same choices I did. The current of history is strong, and choice is limited. B. 1954, pretty much a privileged life, upper middle class, dink, happy and healthy, etc. On SS specifically, I think they aren't much aware of how social security works, of how small the tweaks are which are needed, nor of the cultural value of the intergenerational support commitment it embodies. Anyway, at first I feel bad that the speaker has that mindset, even if it's justified, because it is so likely to be self-fulfilling, and it exposes a ready-to-be-defeated attitude that young people shouldn't have. Then, I grimace enviously inside, because to me my probably comfy SS/retirement doesn't seem to be all that dazzling. But that complaining cohort has already started into a golden age of abundance that the boomers will see only the early fringes of. Just look at the advances in software technologies, materials science, agriculture, robotics, transportation, space sciences, and on, all at an accelerating pace as all these pile on top of each other, and the availability and impact of these advances extends deeper and deeper into American society. If I could trade our reasonably comfortable present position in life For the future of millennial couple struggling with college debt, underemployment, and a crappy apartment in an unexciting town somewhere, I would. It's gonna be stupendous. I'm a boomer and think we really done a lousy job of it. We really are leaving the generations that follow us with a much harder world. Besides housing prices and college debt, it's also hard to get a decent job with decent benefits. Unfortunately, we were also the start of the descent into loss of security, declining wages, outsourcing of jobs, etc. So we got screwed a bit too, but not nearly as bad as the ones who follow us. I'm a late boomer, born early 1960s. How do I feel when I read comments like that? I wonder how I'm taking your social security when I'm not even old enough to qualify. I was not registered to vote until post-Reagan. Most candidates I voted for did not get elected, and I'm unaffiliated in my current voter registration. I have zero control over federal or state policies. I have raised 2 kids and have paid for their 4-year degrees because I did not want them to start life out in debt. I have given one child a down payment for a house and will do the same for my other child. I'm not in the 1%, but I'm doing what I can to enable my children to have as good a start in life as they possibly can. What do I hear from my own generation as well as younger generations? That my kids are spoiled because they do not know the hardship of student loan debt and poverty. That I'm not doing them any favors. That neither I nor they deserve to have what we have, no matter how hard we worked for it and saved and lived below our means for years, because others have it harder. So it seems I'm damned if I do help them, and I'm damned if I don't. What I know, we will not accomplish anything as a society as long as we take an us vs them approach. I'm not the enemy, and hating on the older generation will not solve anything. Hatred only breeds bitterness and takes its biggest toll on the one who harbors the hate, not the target. Okay, there is a good chance my kids will read this, but here goes. First, I have been damn lucky in life. I'm not the smartest person in the room, but there are times I have hired him or her. I have people skills and reasonable technical skills, and the combination served me well. 3 of my children are still sort of my responsibility. I was able to lend one enough money to buy a house, and one lives in a mother-in-law apartment adjacent to my house. The 3rd left home at the age of 27 after getting her master's. All of my kids have college degrees, 2 have masters, all have jobs, or are working on a new degree. I paid into social security for 44 years, and I draw some money each month from it. I think when someone makes a statement like the wrote, the person making the statement did not have parents that supported him or her, and they resent having to do it on their own. Imogen's there, but I'm friendly with my parents and many of their friends. We have no problem speaking frankly with each other. Most of the ones I speak to seem to agree. My buddy's dad said flat out, "We failed you guys as a generation." They feel bad. I mean, they personally didn't want this. These people, at least the ones I know, were working class people that would sacrifice anything to give their kids a better life. But there's also a ton of them that aren't like that. More so it seems than my grandparents' generation. Some of the shit I see, like a mother telling her single parent daughter she needs to take her kid and go get an apartment so she can sell her house and travel with her boyfriend. Jesus Christ, you would be shunned as a piece of shit parent around here if you did that 30 years ago. I see so much of that these days. Overall, I don't think boomers are bad people, but there's a lot more bad than previous generations. They embraced the greed is good quote from Wall Street while missing the point that it was said by the villain of the movie. They embraced the dual income homes because a vacation home was more important to them than having a parent stay home and raise the kids. They drove up the prices of things like houses and education multiple times higher than the rate of inflation. They tried to destroy unions, the only fucking thing the working class has to survive without a college degree. But worst of all is that many of them that just refuse to realize it. They don't want minimum wage to go up. They lecture kids to just go buy a house or go get a side job to pay for college, while ignoring how insane that sounds. Very rarely do I engage in such a discussion. When I left college, I had the same starry-eyed dreams that were promised to all of us. Great job, high pay with a degree. Reality was different, no jobs, and low-paying prospects outside my field of study. I spent the better half of 7 years grinding it out and working job to job, sometimes with 6-month stints of unemployment. I was wise enough to sock every penny away while I had a job to make it through those times. I managed to bust my ass enough to get where I saw myself at only after 12 to 15 years of work, and it's in a different area than I even majored in. So to those who say jobs aren't there, guess what? They are, albeit you may have to do something outside your comfort zone and take calculated risks from time to time. We can all blame ourselves collectively for the political issues. We elected the officials, we re-elect the same ones, and expect different results. Look up the definition of insanity on that one. Or if you prefer, read Douglas Adams' explanation of politics. Take this with a grain of salt. There are many reasons why young people cannot make living wages. Many reasons. One thing young people do not realize is that we saw what it was like before this mass influx of Hispanic workers from south of the border. When I got out of high school, you could walk into almost any type of business and find a job that paid enough to cover your rent, food, etc. There were lots of low-skilled jobs that paid decent wages. $7.00 to $10.00 and are back in the mid-80s in the San Francisco Bay Area. You would get a job, and if you have half of a brain you would move up a bit and get pay raises along the way. I managed a pizza joint in Palo Alto and had one Hispanic worker there the entire 5 years I ran the place. I would never even think about putting someone on the register who did not speak English. I also worked construction for a bit. In 1986, 2% of the population were immigrants. Now they make up 3%. 14 million up to 42 million. These are not rocket scientists, these are unskilled workers who are making careers out of what used to be entry-level jobs for our young people. I work in a large medical building now. They are building out the top 2 floors for a new clinic. At least 50 construction guys working their asses off. I have seen at best 3 to 5 white dude working. Everyone else is Hispanic. I chat with them out near the smoking area. Nice dude. They work hard. In 30 years, that is 28 million jobs. That is a ton of jobs when you combine it with our declining manufacturing base.